I should have known something was wrong when the forest went quiet. We were laughing at first, me, Lara, and Joe, skipping down the mossy trail with baskets swinging, arguing about who'd find the biggest chanterelle. The air smelled of rain and earth, and sunlight dripped through the trees like golden syrup. Perfect, I thought. Perfect day, perfect friends, perfect peace. Then the wind stopped. It didn't fade gradually like normal. It just clicked off, like someone had flipped a switch. No rustling leaves, no creaking branches, no distant birds. Only our breathing. Lara noticed it first. "Hey," she said, "where'd all the noise go?" Joe shrugged, but I saw her glance around, quick, uncertain. I laughed to keep the mood light. Maybe they all got scared of us. The mushroom queens are coming. No one laughed back. We stood there, surrounded by hundreds of trees that suddenly felt too tall. Their trunks seemed to lean slightly inward, as if listening. Then came a sound crack. It echoed, sharp and deliberate, not far behind us. I spun around. Nothing. Just dark spaces between the trees, where light didn't quite reach. Lara whispered, "Was that footsteps?" I wanted to say no, but the forest had started breathing again, slow, heavy, uneven, like it was inhaling from every direction. And somehow, I couldn't tell if that sound was wind or something else entirely. We froze. The echo of that crack still hung in the air like smoke. "Probably an animal," Joe muttered, though her voice trembled. "A deer or something." But deer don't snap branches that thick. The forest seemed to hold its breath again, waiting for us to move. I could hear my pulse in my ears. Finally, I forced a laugh. "Let's keep going. The sooner we fill these baskets, the sooner we get back for tea." Lara nodded too quickly, and we started walking again, faster now, pretending not to hurry. We followed the narrow trail, our boots sinking softly into damp moss. The deeper we went, the darker the forest grew, even though the sky above was still bright. The light just didn't reach the ground anymore. Then faintly tap, tap, tap. Behind us. We stopped again. The sound stopped. Joe turned slowly, her face pale. "Okay, that's not funny." "I didn't do anything," I said. "Neither did I," whispered Lara. Then tap, 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 closer this time. Something moved between the trees, a shadow slipping from trunk to trunk. I couldn't make out a shape, just the motion. Wrong somehow, too low, too smooth. Joe hissed, "Run." And we did. Branches tore at our sleeves, roots clawed at our boots, and still the sound followed. Tap, 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 matching our pace, always just behind. When we finally burst into a clearing, gasping, the sound stopped again. We spun around, but there was nothing. Only 3 sets of footprints in the moss. 3. Even though there had been 4 sets of taps that I counted again because my mind refused to accept it. 3 sets of prints, mine, Lara's, Joe's, all heading into the clearing. But there should have been one more. Whatever had followed us had left nothing behind. Joe was bent over, hands on her knees, trying to catch her breath. "We need to go back," she panted. "Now." Lara shook her head. "Back where? The path's gone." I looked around, and she was right. The trail we'd come from was gone, swallowed by moss and shadow. Behind us, the trees stood shoulder to shoulder like soldiers, their bark darker than before, almost black. A cold shiver ran up my spine. "We didn't go that far," I said, forcing a shaky laugh. "Maybe we just turned wrong. Let's pick a direction." Joe straightened and pointed north, or what I thought was north. That way. The sun was on our right when we came in. So we started walking again, through undergrowth that grew thicker, thornier, as though the forest was trying to stop us. Then Lara gasped. "Look." There was a patch of mushrooms ahead, a perfect ring of them, glowing faintly white even in the dimness. "Fairy ring." My grandmother used to tell me never to step inside one. "Don't touch them," I warned. Joe rolled her eyes. "They're just mushrooms." She took one step forward. "Whisper." It came from inside the ring. So soft, I thought I imagined it. Then again, clear this time, my name. "Elena." I froze. My name, spoken in my own voice. Lara grabbed my arm. We're leaving. Now. Joe hesitated, staring at the ring, and before either of us could stop her, she stepped inside it. The ground beneath her pulsed, once, like it was breathing. And Joe disappeared. She didn't fall. She didn't scream. She just blinked out. One heartbeat she was there, reaching down toward a mushroom cap, and the next gone. The air where she'd been shimmered, like heat above asphalt, then went still. Lara made a strangled sound, part gasp, part sob. Joe! We both ran to the ring's edge. The mushrooms were trembling now, their pale caps quivering as if something beneath the soil had just awakened. I knelt, staring into the center. The moss looked untouched, no hole, no mark, no blood. Just absence. She couldn't have... I began, but my voice cracked. Then I heard her. Elena. It was Joe's voice this time, muffled, distant, like she was calling from underwater. Joe! I shouted. Where are you? Here, came the whisper. It's beautiful here. The forest around us darkened as if clouds had passed over the sun. But when I glanced up, the sky was perfectly clear. Lara clutched my arm. We have to go. Now. I wanted to argue, but I saw something move within the ring, something rising from the soil, pushing the mushrooms aside. It looked almost like a hand, but too thin, too long, fingers jointed in the wrong places. We ran. Branches lashed my face, and I didn't care. All I could hear was that whisper following us, Joe's voice calling softly, coaxing. Don't run, Elena, it's better in the dark. And beneath it, something else began to breathe again. Deep, ragged, patient. We didn't stop running until our lungs burned and our legs shook. The trees thinned a little, just enough for weak light to filter through. I bent over, gasping, tasting metal in my mouth. Lara collapsed beside me. What was that? I shook my head. I don't know. But it wasn't Joe. Not anymore. Silence again. Not peaceful silence, listening silence. The kind that makes every breath feel like a mistake. Then, beneath our feet, HNNNHHH. A low, wet inhalation. The forest floor moved slightly, moss rising and falling as though we stood on the chest of something enormous. Lara whimpered. It's under us. We stumbled back. The ground quivered, and a fine mist seeped up between the roots, carrying that same earthy sweetness the mushrooms had. It smelled almost inviting. I caught myself leaning forward before I realized what I was doing. The mist curled toward my face like fingers. Elena, it whispered. Don't you want to see? Lara yanked me away so hard I nearly fell. Stop listening, she cried. Don't breathe it. We tore through the trees again. My mind was chaos. Joe's voice, the pulsing ground, the taste of the mist still clinging to my tongue. After what felt like forever, we found a shallow stream. The sound of running water, Real sound, snapped something back inside me. We follow it, I said hoarsely. Streams lead somewhere. Lara nodded, trembling. We waded into the icy water, letting it bite our ankles as we pushed upstream. Behind us, faintly, something shifted in the trees. A shape, crawling upright, the sound of joints cracking in a rhythm too slow to be human. And over the gurgle of the stream, I heard it again, my name, spoken in Joe's voice, but lower now. Hungrier. Eliana. The sound of my name slid across the water, stretching, curling, too long to belong to a human throat. Lara clutched my wrist. Don't answer it, she hissed. As if I would, I whispered back. But I couldn't help glancing over my shoulder. Something was there, just beyond the edge of the stream. Its shape flickered with the light, tall 1 second, crawling the next, as if it hadn't yet decided what to be. Every time I blinked, it changed again. The current gurgled louder, almost like it was trying to drown the thing out. We stumbled upstream, following the water as it twisted through brambles and slick stones. The forest pressed closer with every step. Then a splash. We froze. Lara turned slowly, eyes wide. There, a few feet behind us, a single footprint appeared in the water. Not ours. The The stream ran red around it, as if the current had turned to rust. Lara's breath hitched. "It's in the water." The ripples spread, circling us, though the air was still. And then the surface reflected something, 3 faces. Mine, Lara's, and Joe's. But Joe's reflection was smiling. "Don't look down," I shouted. I grabbed Lara and pulled her away, stumbling up the bank. Behind us, the reflections shattered like glass. Something slithered beneath the stream, moving fast against the current. We ran again through ferns past fallen logs until our legs nearly gave out. Finally, we saw something ahead through the fog. A shape too straight to be natural. A cabin. Relief and dread hit me at once. Because the smoke curling from its chimneys smelled like mushrooms at first, I thought my mind was playing tricks. The cabin looked too ordinary, a single window glowing faintly yellow, smoke rising from the crooked chimney, the faint scent of wood fire tangled with that strange, sweet mushroom smell. Lara gripped my sleeve. "Someone's there. We can ask for help." I wanted to believe that. God, I did. But something about the light bothered me. It didn't flicker like firelight. It pulsed like breath. "Wait," I said. "Let me check first." We crept closer, boots sinking into the mud. The air grew thicker, humid, and the forest behind us went utterly still again. I could feel eyes on us. Hundreds, from every direction, but none I could see. At the window, I peeked in. The cabin was filled with dried herbs and shelves of glass jars, but each jar held something that moved. Mushrooms twisted inside like worms, sprouting and retracting, pressing against the glass as if aware of me. And on the table, Joe's backpack. Lara gasped behind me. "That's hers. She's here." Before I could stop her, she pushed the door open. It creaked, a long, splintering sound that seemed far too loud in the quiet. "Joe," she called. No answer. The smell of mushrooms hit harder inside, damp and sweet, almost meaty. A pot simmered on the stove, though the fire beneath it was made of roots, not wood. I stepped closer. The pot bubbled thickly, releasing that same mist we'd seen before. Then something knocked back from inside the pot. Lara screamed. And from the corner, a voice said softly, "You shouldn't have come back, Elena." The voice froze me where I stood. It wasn't Joe's anymore, just a hint of her tone wrapped around something deeper, older, something that remembered hunger. Lara stumbled back toward the door. "Who's there?" Silence. Then, from the shadows near the hearth, a figure stepped forward. Its outline flickered in the strange pulsing light. First Joe's face, then a hollow-eyed stranger's, then something without a face at all. "Elena," it crooned, its mouth stretching too wide. "You almost made it out." I couldn't breathe. Every instinct screamed run, but my body would move. The thing took a step closer. Its skin shimmered, damp and pale as mushroom flesh, and faint threads, mycelium, I realized, trailed behind it, rooting into the floor. "You left me," it said. "But it's all right. There's room for both of you now." Lara snatched a jar from the shelf and hurled it. It shattered against the wall, spraying dark spores that glittered like ash. The creature shrieked, not in pain, but in delight. The air filled with that sweet, choking smell. My vision swam. The shelves around us pulsed as the jars began to crack one by one, releasing twisting, pale filaments that writhed toward the ceiling. "Get out," I shouted, grabbing Lara's hand. We stumbled toward the door, coughing, tripping over roots that hadn't been there a moment before. But when we burst outside, the forest wasn't the same. The cabin's light spilled over the trees, and every trunk was covered in mushrooms shaped like faces. And they were all smiling. Everywhere I looked, they grinned. White, waxy faces bulging from bark, mouths frozen mid-smile. Some were tiny as coins, others as large as human heads. Their hollow eyes gleamed wetly in the cabin's light. Lara gagged. "Oh my God, they look like people," I finished. My stomach turned. One of the faces twitched, lips peeling back to reveal spore-dusted teeth. Then a soft hiss rolled through the clearing. The mushrooms began to breathe. Each inhalation released a faint puff of mist, and with every breath the forest leaned closer, trunks bending, roots stretching. The whole place was alive and hungry. "Run," I whispered. We plunged into the dark, not caring where the path led. Branches clawed at us. One caught Lara's hair, tearing a chunk free, and the forest seemed to savor it. The whispering started again, hundreds of voices overlapping, my name folding through them like a thread. "Elena, stay." I tripped over a root and fell hard, palms sinking into something soft and slick. I looked down, moss, yes, but underneath it, pale shapes pressing upward. "Fingers!" I screamed, scrambling to my feet. Lara grabbed me, dragging me forward, both of us slipping on the damp soil. Behind us came a wet snap, then another, like the forest cracking its knuckles. When we finally stopped, the cabin's light was gone. Just black trees and the faint, rhythmic sound of breathing all around. Lara was shaking. "I think we're going in circles." I opened my mouth to answer, but froze. Because right behind her, in the dark, a single pale face was growing from the trunk, and it looked exactly like hers. At first, I thought my mind had broken. The face on the tree was Lara's, every detail perfect, the freckles, the small scar under her lip, even the terror in her eyes. Except this one was smiling. Lara turned when she saw my expression.
"What?
"What is it?" I could barely speak. I just pointed. She followed my gaze and froze. Her breath caught in a ragged sob. No, that's not." The wooden version of her blinked. Slow.
Wet.
Then it whispered, "You look tired." We both stumbled backward. Lara tripped over a root and fell to her knees, shaking her head wildly. It's not me. The face on the trunk stretched. The mouth opened wider and wider until the smile split its entire head. From that black cavern, something pale began to slide out. Not roots, not flesh, but a shape between the two, groping toward the real Lara. I grabbed her by the arm and hauled her up, screaming, "Run!" We bolted through the trees again. I could hear it behind us, that slick, dragging sound, the forest laughing through its teeth. The air grew colder, sharper. My breath came out white. And then,
light.
A small clearing up ahead, glowing faintly blue. A pond shimmered at its center, perfectly still, reflecting nothing at all. The air here felt different, cleaner, almost safe. We stumbled toward it, panting, dizzy, desperate. Lara dropped to her knees at the edge, reaching for the water. "Don't," I started. Too late. Her reflection reached up and pulled her under. The water swallowed her without a ripple. One heartbeat, Lara was there, reaching, gasping, and the next, she was gone. I screamed her name, but the sound fell flat. The forest didn't echo here. It listened. The pond's surface was smooth again, reflecting nothing. Not the trees, not the sky, not me. Just a black void, like a doorway. Then faintly bubbles. I fell to my knees. "Lara." I plunged my hands into the freezing water, but it wasn't cold. It was warm, thick, like breath. Something brushed my fingers. Not a hand, hair. Then her face broke the surface. Eyes wide, mouth open, but no air came out. The water poured in, dragging her down again. I lunged forward, but the surface sealed instantly, glass smooth, leaving only tiny ripples. And then, from beneath that calm mirror, her reflection blinked up at me, smiling. My body went numb. The smile widened. Her reflection reached up again, fingers pressing against the inside of the water like it was glass. "Elena," she said softly, though her lips didn't move. The voice came from the trees. "It's better down here. You'll see everything. You'll belong." Something cold touched my shoulder. I turned, and behind me stood Jo. Or what was left of her. Her skin was pale as wax, her eyes two black pits filled with threads of white. She smelled like wet bark and rot. "You shouldn't fight it," she whispered. "You're part of it now." I stumbled backward toward the pond, but Jo's grin stretched wider, impossibly wide. Don't worry, she said. The forest always takes back what it feeds. And from the ground beneath her feet, the roots began to move. The roots crawled toward me, slick, glistening cords of pale wood, pulsing faintly as though a heart beat inside them. They slithered over the soil, wrapping around Jo's legs and arms, threading through her like veins made of vines. Her voice trembled with something that wasn't pain but joy. It doesn't hurt anymore, Elena. It just takes a while to remember you. I stumbled backward, my heels sinking into the damp earth. The pond behind me rippled, whispering like a mouth forming my name. The ground felt alive, breathing, waiting. I grabbed a broken branch, more instinct than plan, and swung it at her. It hit her shoulder with a wet crack, and where it struck, pale spores burst out, glowing faintly in the dark. Jo tilted her head. It's too late for that. The roots beneath her surged forward, splitting the ground, wrapping around my ankle. I screamed and struck down again and again, breaking the tendrils, but every time they fell apart, more grew back. And then a voice, faint, human, called my name. Elena! This way. I turned. Through the trees, a flicker of white light. Not the breathing, pulsing glow of the forest, but cold, steady, real. Without thinking, I ripped free and ran toward it. The forest howled behind me, branches snapping, whispers rising like 1,000 breaths drawn in unison. My legs barely obeyed me. Every step sank deeper, as though the ground tried to swallow me whole. The light grew brighter, blinding now, until suddenly the forest stopped. I stumbled into another clearing and froze. Because the light wasn't sunlight. It was coming from the sky. Or rather, from the circle cut into it, a hole pulsing with white fire, showing a forest exactly like ours, but empty. The light from above shimmered like liquid glass. I couldn't look away. Through that gaping hole, I saw a reflection of the forest. Same trees, same clearing, but everything there stood still, frozen mid-breath. No whispers, no movement, just silence. And standing in that reflected clearing was me. She, the other me, was staring straight down at me from the sky, eyes wide, mouth open in a silent scream I couldn't hear. Her skin looked drained of color, and something crawled beneath it, slow, pale veins snaking just under the surface. My breath caught. No, I whispered. That's not. Behind me, the real forest groaned. Roots cracked, trees bent, and the faces on their trunks began to laugh. Low, wet, gurgling sounds that rolled through the soil. Elena, the voices chorused, some familiar, some strange. Choose. The hole in the sky widened. The light reached down like a hand, brushing my hair, pulling gently upward, inviting. At the same time, the ground opened beneath me, revealing the slow pulse of something vast and red glowing deep within the earth. From it rose a sound, a heartbeat that wasn't mine. The two forces tugged at me, sky and soil, mirror and rot. My bones ached from the pull. Then, from below, Jo's voice again, faint, pleading. Stay. It's quieter here. From above, the reflection whispered in perfect unison with my own mouth. Don't listen. Wake up. I didn't know which side was real anymore. And the forest, amused, laughed louder. The air split with the sound of roots tearing and light cracking, and I screamed as I was pulled in both directions at once. The world tore like paper. For one terrible instant, I existed in two places, half my body reaching toward the cold light above, half sinking into the warm, breathing dark below. Every nerve screamed. The sky tasted like frost and smoke. The earth tasted like metal and mushrooms. My heartbeat echoed between the two worlds, out of rhythm, desperate. Elena, the voices called from both sides, overlapping, drowning each other out. Come back. Stay. Breathe. Sleep. I couldn't tell which voice was mine anymore. I looked up. My reflection in the light was sobbing, mouth wide in a voiceless scream. She reached for me, and for a second I saw her eyes, terrified, human alive. Then I looked down, and there was Jo, waiting in the red-lit roots, her hands open, her smile soft now, almost kind. "You'll understand soon," she whispered. "The forest only keeps what it loves." The pull grew stronger. My spine arched. My skin began to split along invisible seams of light. I saw my hands blur, one pale and solid, one dark and translucent. And then, silence. The forest froze. The light stopped. Something was deciding. I couldn't move, couldn't think. Only one thought flickered through the pain. Which side is real? The answer came as a whisper, right against my ear, from everywhere at once. Whichever one you stop fighting. And then I fell. Not up, not down, but sideways. Through the forest itself. The trees turned inside out, the faces peeled open, and everything folded into a single, endless breath. Then darkness. When I woke, there was sunlight. Real sunlight, soft and gold, filtering through the canopy. Birds were singing. The air smelled like pine, not rot. For a moment, I thought I had dreamed it all. I was lying on a bed of moss, my basket beside me, half full of mushrooms. The same path stretched ahead, leading toward the forest's edge. I laughed, a broken, shaking sound. "It's over," I whispered. "It's really over." But when I tried to stand, my legs felt heavy. My palms, too, ached with strange stiffness. I looked down. Tiny white threads curled from the scratches on my skin, thin as hair, glinting faintly in the sun. My breath hitched. I brushed at them, but they didn't move. They were growing. The forest around me seemed to sigh. Leaves rustled though no wind stirred. "Elena," a voice murmured, gentle, almost loving. Jo's voice. Or Lara's.
Or both.
"You came back. The forest keeps what it loves." I turned in a slow circle. The trees stood silent, calm, innocent. But when I looked closer, I saw it. Faint impressions of faces beneath the bark, sleeping, waiting. And one trunk, the nearest one, had a shape forming just under the surface. My shape. I dropped the basket and stumbled backward, heart hammering. The moss under my feet pulsed once, like a heartbeat. Then I heard it. A soft tap, tap, tap following me again just behind. I didn't look back. I ran until I saw daylight, until the forest thinned and the ground turned to gravel. But even now, even as I write this, my hands smell like earth. The white threads are spreading. And every night, when I close my eyes, I can hear it breathing again, waiting. Because the forest remembers what belongs to it.
And it remembers me.